Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and today we're going to have a look at the latest GFS ensembles, and then we'll have a look at the latest radar images for both wind and rain, and then we'll have a look at the current yellow wind warnings that are in force. Do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you do like and subscribe, as it really does help me out. But first we'll go through the GFS, and you can see right now this is the 6 o'clock run from this morning, so you can see the approaching low, and it does deepen and move through, and we start to put in quite a cold northerly wind. We do see some quite cold air sink southwards. Could be some snow with that, especially further northwards. As we move beyond that, we get another low moving in, and this is where we sort of thought we could see a brief little heat wave. With warmer air being dragged up from the south. There's still the possibility we do see higher temperatures before this low arrives. Perhaps a day where we see temperatures get up to the high teens, perhaps low 20s. But again, it's quite uncertain at this stage still, as it all depends really on cloud amounts and how much sunshine we see. So yeah, we'll just have to look at that nearer the time. Beyond that though, we run back to that. Beyond that, we see this low run-in with warmer air in front of it and cold air in the backside. It does look like it's going to be quite a vigorous area of low pressure, so we're going to expect a lot of rain with that. And in the ensembles, I'll show you quite a large spikes appearing with that. Beyond that, again, we have sort of a northerly flow, but sort of more easterly, and then we see sort of a cut-off low developing over Europe, and it's getting towards the 10-day time frame, so it's a little bit more uncertain. But if we did see a cut-off low like this, with quite warm air coming in from the east, be a recipe for thunderstorms, especially for the south and east of the country, with easterly winds dragging in and importing thunderstorms off the continent, with low pressure within quite warm, humid air. That is, really a recipe for some quite thundery conditions. Beyond that, high pressure maintains to our north, blocks out some of these lows. We do pull in quite a brisk easterly wind, nothing too significant. Not really bringing anything too cold, neither too warm, but it really is a battleground between this low and this high pressure. But it does look like the low eventually does win, and we go back into a westerly phase before high pressure again tries to build over towards Scandinavia, but we are under a little pocket of lower pressure, which could again provide some more rain and convective showers. So yeah, nothing too significant from the GFS there, just the possibility that we could be going a bit drier with higher pressure. But at the same time, if we do get stuck under that cutoff low, even though there's a lot of high pressure around, we could be going quite thundery, but warm at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see that. Again, it's beyond the 10-day time frame, so you can't look into it too much at the moment, just really looking at trends. If we now have a look at the GFS ensembles, you can see the current temperature at 850 HPA and the precipitation. You can see generally well below average over the next sort of 3-4 days, before we do see a rise with those southerly winds. Generally, most ensemble members are going a little bit above average at this stage. Nothing too warm, but you can see a big spike in precipitation widely. Many of the ensemble members going for above 6 millimeters, perhaps even some going up to 10 to 15 or even 20 millimeters, which would be a lot of rain, and it really would depend on how heavy some of the convection, how heavy some of these convective showers and sort of occluded fronts, and how strong they can get. Beyond that, we do see a drop, of course, as ever, with that low passing through, and then generally we go back to around average, and you can see there's a lot of scatter around, some going quite warm, some going quite cold, and there's no definitive signal on the amount of precipitation. So yeah, beyond about 7 to 10 days, it's quite uncertain at this stage. If we now have a look at the live radar, so this live radar over the United Kingdom, you can see a big area of rain, weather fronts. You see the warm front at the front, and then you see the colder front with the heavier rain, these yellow and red colours, orangey colours as well on the back edge. That's the cold front sweeping through, and that is where we could see the heaviest rain. Now, currently the warm front is moving towards sort of East Anglia, and towards part of eastern Scotland, and the cold front is getting into Wales, northern England, parts of the southwestern parts. There's a possibility we could develop some line convection, which is where you get a narrow band, very intense rain and strong winds, as a result of sort of the air masses colliding. Only lasts 10 minutes or so, but can provide some very squally conditions. There could be some of that at the moment. I'm not seeing too much line convection. I'm seeing quite heavy rain, but at this stage, not too much line convection. Perhaps a bit of line convection developing towards the southwest. You can see a line of quite dark green, but again, nothing too significant. If we were to see line convection, you would see these sort of reds and oranges in a direct line spanning a few hundred miles. So it'll be interesting to see where that does develop along the cold front. Now, these weather fronts are quite active, as you can see, a lot of rain, very heavy rain with that as well, and that's why we could see the line convection. But also, I've seen some reports that with the looking at the sort of convective signals, there's possibility of some thunder, lightning perhaps, and even the potential for some funnel clouds on this cold front. You can see there is some quite heavy little pulses in there. Some of these could pep up a little bit more. And with the sort of air mass collision, we could be seeing a few funnel clouds. Again, I just not definitive, but I'm just seeing the potential with that, as this is quite an active area of low pressure. But over the next few hours, I do expect it to move slowly eastwards, clearing most western parts by sort of this evening, maybe 8-9 p.m, and eastern parts it'll probably clear earlier in the morning. Most of the rain has fallen so far in the west. Not many parts of the east and southeast haven't been seeing too much rain so far, and I do expect them to see a lot more rain over the next sort of few hours or so. If we have a look at the past 24-hour precipitation, drag that all the way to the currently. If we drag this all the way to now, you can see mainly the heaviest rain has been in the west so far, but that will spread further eastwards as we go through the next few hours. And you can see many of our southeast hasn't seen any rain so far, but I expect these greens to spread quite widespread. There is a bit of snow in Scotland, but again, only over the hills and mountains, not really going to affect too many people. Just really one to watch with that. If we briefly have a look at the wind speeds, you can see the wind speeds over land at the moment. You can see them really picking up in southwestern parts of Southern Ireland as well, and even spreading further inland as well with some gusty winds. Again, along the cold front, where we could see a line convection, there is the possibility of some heavier gusts as well, maybe 60-70 miles an hour. But again, that will just be a nowcast situation. It's very difficult to forecast whether that does happen. It'll just gonna have to watch the radar. Finally, we'll have a brief look at the current yellow wind warning. You can see covering most of southern England, parts of Wales as well. And again, hasn't really been updated since yesterday, so again, very similar. It's the same as the update yesterday, 40-50 mile an hour inland and highs 60-65 mile an hour. It looks like it will subside for tomorrow morning, but again, there still could be some stronger gusts outside of that, and it will be pulling in a northerly wind, so it will be turning a lot chillier beyond that. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe to you, and I'll see you again for another video soon.